I know, very high quality recording standards, but anyway, on the whole situation, on like even now that we have Buckles talking about it, on the whole garden, I'm surprised it took this long now for people to realize the issues that arose from this, because it's pretty obvious, but I don't think a lot of people realize. So let's go over everything. So people are complaining about how much money farming makes now, even though it's been apparent for so long that mining makes even more than it, and yet the economy was perfectly fine. The reason why the economy was perfectly fine with mining making its peak of 80 million per hour is because it took so much to get into, and because of Skyblock players, no one was willing to do it. So that 80 million coins was only for a select few who were willing to dedicate hundreds of hours to what I'm doing right now. Now, farming, on the other hand, has a lot more issues. Now, comparing macroing between the two skills, for, mining, a lot of the clients that automate it, what they'll end up doing is they'll use ghost hands, which allows the player to the point where they don't have to mine out an entire section. They simply place a cobblestone block and then mine it to the next vein, instead of having to mine out the entire area around the vein. And what this allows people to do is very low effort routes. Now, it's pretty obvious when you can tell someone's using ghost hand, they'll mine a glass block through 17 hard stone, but for farming it's a completely different story. For one, a lot of people right now are getting into issues of streaming, macro check fails, and using a detachable numpad to farm, and the reason why this is becoming more and more of a problem is it allows so much leeway for macroing. Now that we have to take into account people might not be able to move their screen, and a lot of the farms people use are semi-AFK, it's not that hard to make a script that does almost identical movement to a player, or even better, some of the massive 5-plot long mega farms people have been building. You can just straight up F11 it, which was something no one thought we'd be able to do at the beginning of Skyblock, because A, TP pads had a limit, and B, it's just stupid. Like, farming always had that the 2 input thing, and macros aren't the smartest kind of people, so even following redstone tutorials on how to set up one-handed or one movement directed farms is pretty difficult for them. Second Iron Man player who suddenly disappeared after a 3 billion Netherworld collection. Don't know how that happened. But a lot of the issues with farming arose because of Iron Man, which I find just ironic how a game mode designed to prevent the economy from hindering people hindered the economy more than anything, because the whole reason the prices in Garden and farming got buffed was because of Iron Man players. Now, I understood the crop ones because, not the crop, the armor drops, because A, it was completely stupid that you couldn't even put them in the compost, let alone, use them for anything after you got Fermento armor. So, that was a good thing for the talisman. Now, the NPC sell price, it adds, maybe 2 or 3 mil an hour, depending on how lucky you are. Now, the crop prices change is just a horrible idea, because if we go back to, the random, YouTube recommendations, if you were, prevalent, or, watched a lot of Skyblock YouTube, you would eventually get 1 or 2 videos showcasing, a fast break script or something for Netherwort, and how it would make 240 mil a day on one account at 2 coins per NPC sell price. And when they buffed Netherwort, that was basically just giving the macros a nice little sign of, oh boy, we're gonna ruin the economy even more. And even on top of that, the current macro checks are completely dookie. I put a comment talking about a lot of my opinions on a lot of the issues with macro checks and how poorly they perform, to the point where we have developed mods that can identify them, alert you, and they will straight up block movement until you press a key or something to silence it. And that's not good. If your macro check system can get bypassed by macros, then it's not a check and it's more of a hindrance in your rates. And I feel, because speaking from experience, we used the Warlord lobby as a nice little, like, easy way out of having to develop failsafes, and our chat triggers module was pretty much, when it detects we get sent to hub, it just /eld, and our Razor script that we had, this is on my old profile, like this one I don't do that because, obviously, no Netherwort collection, but yeah, that profile is gone, so no worries about that one. It was so simple to the point where if you had the compass and where the cursor appears to begin with set on any lobby or game mode, that when sent to that lobby would pull up a texture pack book, it would just soft lock you. You couldn't move or anything, and it allowed us to not have to have it disconnect or do anything. It just simply put us in a lobby. It looked completely natural. People just go AFK. They end up in lobbies. And it was bad. I mean, this was during the time when there weren't even macro checks to begin with, and let alone anything. And yeah, it's bad. Now, talking about more into the cookie problem, I'm gonna just go into a little bit of depth why it's not only this hindering it, but it's just the supply of cookies that's limited. To the point where a single person, if they were to max out the amount of cookies they could buy per day, they could only handle about, I don't know, like just under 800 people, because you have 192 and each cookie lasts for 4 days, so therefore you can buy 4 days worth of cookies to feed those people, and you start to realize the problem. Because of the hard limit on cookies, we theoretically we don't even have enough for the community. And recombobulators. It was all because people were complaining about, ooh, cheaters ruined the game, ooh, and now everyone's complaining why recoms are 15 mil, meanwhile the admins are like, well, we banned all the cheaters. What did you think was gonna happen? You know, the only people playing the thing that produces recoms. You know, the people who just go zoom zoom with flight. Now you're mad that recoms are expensive, but you were mad about cheaters making them cheap. Yeah, it's a lot of just people realizing that their complaints weren't working correctly, and on top of that, RNG meter for dungeons, worst thing ever made. There was a reason why it was never in the game in the first place, and there's a reason why it should have never been. Like, look at that, Robotron reflector, 1 mil per. When I started, I think, yeah, this profile here with the farming 45 on it that I grinded, meanwhile, while I was waiting on, wait, why is that? Oh, because it's technically not just created. It was from, like, a while ago, but before my 360-day ban. That right there, that's my problem. I transferred everything over, as you can see, no coins, nothing. Has not been touched since I swapped to co-op. Okay? You want to see this problem here? Farming 45. Almost 100 million collection, nothing touched, never macro checked, nothing. And when I was on there, I started stocking up on supplies, you know, with the max drill parts. And this is an update because I was on my laptop doing it this morning because I'm too lazy to start my entire desktop to put an amber polish in that. That amber polish was a combined total of roughly like 50 million in materials. Well, AH was like 140 million, but I'm not gonna complain. I mean, it's free money, plus I need to powder grind either way, so it was a nice like workaround of having to spend trillions or billions of coins. I don't really care. My problem is, I had bought those Robotron reflectors for it at 300k per. A week, I think 2 days after they added Robotron reflectors to the bazaar. And it took 3 days, and they doubled in price. And even worse is booster cookies. Now, going back on the whole limited supply. My friend, before he got, well, we honestly don't even care at this point. It happens in the past, but I'm just going to say falsely banned for 30 days. Before that, he had bought 125 booster cookies at 4.8 mil roughly per. And yesterday, we were talking about a good price to put the cookies at, and it might have been Sunday, and we were saying, I wrote down some numbers. I think I put down, like, values of when we should sell quantities of 30. And I had put down on Sunday 7.5 mil as a selling point. They spiked to 7.8 mil overnight, and I went, oh shit, put them up. He put them up for 8 mil. I'm in my middle of my 6 hour at school today, get a little notification on YouTube from Buckles, and I see a funny 9 in front of the M for his value of booster cookies, and went, oh shit, we just lost mad amount of money. And, quickly go to SBG and slash Bazaar Booster. Oh, that's an interesting spike. That's almost my heart rate when I get fucking triple peaked in Valorant. Not normal. Definitely is not normal. And I love my joke of stating, if Rage Train thinks the cookie prices are insane, we're fucked. It is not good. So, I was, like, talking with a couple of people, and these have been, like, things I had been working on over time. Some of it, when I was banned, I was just trying to figure out solutions, because I had just been lurking while I was waiting on my year ban. I think last month of my ban, I was just storming ideas to see what might fix it, and my first reaction when I saw the NPC price change was, like, why did they do that? That is nothing but bad for the game. A, it's going to completely destroy the economy, and B, it just buffs macroers. It takes less than an hour to set up a farm that you can F11 macro. I'm not going to show you the design because A, it requires a main account, and B, I'm not going in the ways on how to wipe transfer data. Because, Jesus Christ, I am still, like, petrified of the feds. They are still on my ass for the amount of trolling I did on my ban. Okay, we don't talk about the one account. Okay, that one never happened. But my first idea was A, just remove the NPC limit on buying cookies. B, add, like, a quest every, like, I don't know, like 5 days or something. You had a limit, like, maybe you buy a cookie for a set amount from an NPC, which could also fix the entire economy in the first place. Imagine just an NPC that had just a cookie a day limit of 5 million. Do you realize how much coins would be taken out of the economy with that? People were complaining about, like, 6 million. They were complaining about that and now, like, a week later it's at this. Do you realize how relieved the community would be to see a 5 in front of the cookie price? Even if it reduces their monetary gain, it's not like they're getting any. Because if we're running out of cookies, it obviously means that no one's buying gems. And B, people weren't even buying gems for cookies in the first place. They were buying them for the fire sales. Just make cookies NPC purchase as well. You remove coins, and you still keep the monetary gain because no one was actually buying cookies. They were just buying pet skins, stocking up on them, waiting 6 months, reselling them, and then rinse and repeat for billions of coins. I don't. They need to just. I understand he got tasked with Rift, and that's what he's been working on. But all the other admins, drop everything they've been working on. I don't care if it's almost done. I don't care if you're working on the forging update. I don't care if you're trying to transfer data. I need you to look at the game and go, this seems healthy. And I don't. We're missing 2 scrolls. We've hit the Bazaar buy limit or price limit on all of the scrolls. We don't even have any scrolls on the Bazaar for 2 of them. And Hyperions, according to the AH and Skyblock community, are cheaper than the Necron handle. I looked at it and I was like, that's weird. It must just be my mod bugging out. It shouldn't be 70 mil less to just buy a Hyperion than to just buy the Necron handle. Oh, it is. Okay, how cheap is a 3 scroll? Oh. Well. Yeah, this game is not in good health. It doesn't make it any better that what I have myself planned to do is grind 3 Hyperions in gems, to the point where I'm even debating about going for number 1 in gemstones because of how much I have to mine, and it might just be a nice little thing to do. Don't start mining again, whichever psychopath is 16 bill gemstone collection, chill. But it haunts me how bad the state of the game is in. And the other thing, revert all of the NPC buffs. I don't care about Iron Man. You can keep the armor drops. Fine. Now, the NPC cell limit. This was another thing I talked about. Just make it linearly scaling with Skyblock level. For each level, up until 200, is 1 mil increase the NPC daily cell limit. That way, we keep the 200 mil for people who generally seem legit, because if you get to level 200 in Skyblock legitimately, without getting caught at least once cheating, then yeah, you're safe. You're not macroing. Like, you're gonna at least have, like, 1 or 2 macro checks. Plus, you have to do other aspects of the game, so, yeah. And it would solve, like, the whole problem of people just making brand new accounts, setting them up, and then letting them macro, because A, now they can't just they can just not make our economy Venezuelan dollars in terms of inflation, because they can't sell as much to NPCs and instead have to sell the bazaar, which then again can be used to track them down even more, because, you know, a level 7 randomly selling 19,000 mutant netherwort doesn't seem too good. And, you know, just slight red flag, you know, he must just be a good farmer. What's that? He's breaking 25 blocks a second? Well, shit. I want them to just stop working on updates. They need to just take a good, like, week as a team and just talk about the game's state right now, because even, like, I don't like the fact that Jay Varman was stating during the HS Fearless live stream, is forging going to make around the same amount as mining? God, please no, because if it's gonna be similar on how easy it was to get max, like the garden, dear God, is this economy in ruins. The reason mining was always so difficult was A, blatant, macroing was always so blatant and so obvious, it was not natural human movement, and B, it just took a year to max out to even get to that amount of money, because it was exponential, but the exponential part didn't come until, like, halfway down the powder grinding. It was so bad. Like, I can't. I just watch as I blink and the cookie price goes up 100 mil. 100k, it's bad. And, well, unless this is where we're going and we're just playing Venezuelan Simulator, I don't have high hopes for this game. Came back, and it took not even a month for this game to already disappoint me again. Handles, I just want to leave this in your mind right now, okay? Before the RNG meter, there were more scrolls than handles in the game. Now with RNG meter, the thing that made the handle useful, there are none in the supply. But we had handles before, at a reasonable price, and hypes were reasonably affordable. And you can't just blame inflation, because if inflation was the only problem, there would be scrolls on the bazaar. I swear, if I click this, there'll probably not even be the third scroll. I swear I did not just check that before recording this. I had checked it when I got home. There was at least a shadow warp. If there is no scrolls on bazaar right now, we are fucked. No, this game's fucked. That's not inflation, that's just there being no one playing dungeons and no one dropping scrolls. Because if I go to AH and I, you know, search up the funny phrase, Necron handle, yeah, there it is. I searched it up yesterday. Anyone seeing a slight problem here? You know, this is just a slight problem. Here, let me search up a Hyperion real quick. Let's compare prices. Oh, that's weird. I don't remember that being. They must have switched places yesterday, because one was 850 million and one was 780. Yeah, I don't. And then the fact people are like, ooh, recoms are 15 mil. If it was only inflation, okay, we would not be having the same price point as released dungeons. Okay? We had money to spare when that update came out. And that was, like, instantly when the update came out. And recoms were completely pointless and just stupid. And they never really increased your productivity of grinding them. So it was really just, I think it was, adaptive armor that everyone needed to start grinding efficiently. And now that we're missing half of the community because admins went kaboom to everyone who was actually getting us recoms, when the supply goes below the demand, prices go up. I am just astonished on how stupid this community is. I think TimeDeo summed it up. There are much smarter people in this community, and yet it took a dumbass like him 3 seconds to figure it out and find a solution. And that's the point we're in. This game, I've watched it just the 4 years it's been out, and every time we think we fixed the game, people got what they want, and they immediately bit their own tongue afterwards and went, shit, I just shot myself so bad in the foot. Mining is high money, high attention. Farming is high money, zero attention. You can use a fucking foot to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hypixel Skyblock. Why actually pay attention when you can just use your foot? Come on. It's not like you're selling him for money. Because you're not a girl, you're a man. No one plays this game unless they're like a severely depressed person in their mid-teens. Wait, I'm just talking about myself. Wait, shit. But, yeah. This game, it's in such a bad spot right now. If it means delaying Rift, I am all for it. Rift, it's cool update, except it's gonna be completely pointless because it's just summing up the solution. It's just summing up the admin team. If there's a problem, slap a band-aid on it and act like it never happened, because they're adding an entirely new economy into it. Oh, no, not coal, not coins, no. Moles. Ladies and gentlemen, they fixed everything! Woo! Let's give it up for Hypixel! Woo! Okay, I'm gonna go finish up powder grinding for the next week before some dickhead logs back in. He's probably dead, and we don't even know. He actually committed kabooms, and he had the drill. I'm having fun. Anyway, bye.